Welcome back to Homeless But Human. I am Blake with my co-host.
Hey everyone, it's Shayla.
We have a very fun episode today. We are going to dive into the lives of the missionaries in their daily life.
Yes.
That daily routine that we get so many questions about. I think it's one of our biggest questions of what did the missionaries' lives look like? So with us today, we have Stephanie and Chaz. So Stephanie,
Hey everyone.
Hey, there she is. Stephanie, what is one of your favorite moments from this week?
Yeah, so there's this running joke with my friends that spaghetti is going to fall on my head.
Your friends on the street?
No, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Community members,
all right,
yes.
All right.
So there's a morning that I woke up and I felt something on me and I opened my eyes and then all of a sudden a ton of spaghetti noodles comes flying at me, and it might have been the favorite memory of the year, maybe.
That was your wake up.
Yes, and it was the best wake up ever. It was seriously the best. Because this has been a running joke since maybe October, November. So it was just special to wake up that way. And now it's like the photo for the women's group chat is me holding all of the spaghetti in my hand. Yeah,
I was not expecting that.
No, not at all. I mean, I was expecting just one of those moments, like holy or prayerful or some encounter on the streets.
I can give you another.
No, it's great. Well, yeah, I mean, that one.
If it's the favorite, it's the
If
favorite.
it's the favorite, it's the favorite. Chaz, what's been one of your favorite moments this week?
This week, it was probably eating lunch with Steve at Lunch in the Park. Steve is one of our friends that has housing, and he is a huge Grateful Dead. He's a Deadhead.
Oh, wow.
He's all about
Yeah,
their
he is.
concerts. He's been to 27 of them back in the day. And him and I were talking about servant leadership. Something that Steve really struggles with is admitting that he's a true leader. And so it was really cool at Lunch in the Park to kind of push him a little bit on that issue and hear what he actually thinks about being a leader and how he's a leader for others in the community and for hopefully his new website / company that he's starting soon.
Cool.
Wow. That is awesome.
Very
Yeah.
wholesome.
Yeah.
Compared to the spaghetti falling from the sky.
We cover all sides here.
Yeah,
Chris.
we
Cover
do.
all
We do.
sides.
Well, speaking of morning routines, Stephanie, we are going to actually take you all through a normal average day, which isn't normal or average at all at Christ in the City, of what the missionaries go through. So we're going to start from right when we wake up and then right when our head hits the pillow at the end of the night. But first, Stephanie, just wanted to ask you, what time do you wake up? I know we have morning prayer at 6:30 a.m. sharp. And so are you the one that, takes your time in the morning? Maybe you have 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or are you like the 6:28 wake up, rolling out of bed right into prayer?
Honestly, I'm very different every day. I would say most days at the beginning of the year, I woke up for something called Coffee Club, which starts around
nice.
6 a.m. And I wake up around 5:50 for that. But as the year has gone on, I maybe make that once or twice a week now. And I mostly sleep in instead. But honestly, every day is different. In the morning, I kind of like it that way. Yeah.
6 a.m. coffee club. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, Chaz also goes, so we have 2 coffee club members here. We just brew coffee the night before, set on a timer, and we all sit around and mostly just talk about our dreams that we had the night before.
Nice.
Yeah, as we drink coffee before morning prayer, which is really nice typically if I can wake up for that, just to be more aware from morning prayer, because it is hard if you wake up right before and kind of go down and start praying.
Right.
But yeah.
Chaz, I hear you have hardly ever miss morning prayer. I hear you're one of the most steadfast morning prayers in the community. Is this true?
Yeah, I would say it's partially true.
Amazing.
I think I only missed a couple times.
It must be coffee
Pretty
club,
faithful.
right?
It's all about coffee club. If I didn't have that coffee in the morning, there's no way I'd be there on time.
Yeah, I love the Fulton Sheen quote, about, every American Catholic needs that cup of coffee before they meditate, do that holy hour. So for the morning prayer, you have 6:30 morning prayer and then a holy hour. Walk us through quick. What is morning prayer? How does that work?
Yeah, so morning prayer is it's one of these hours that is a part of the Liturgy of the Hours, which is a type of prayer that the church preaches that allows for the church to pray for the salvation of souls. And so morning prayer is the hour that focuses on the resurrection. It's a new day, the new beginning, the newness of life. And so while you're praying morning prayer as a group, as a community, we're learning to pray together, and then also seeing how what we do in the chapel can reflect how we live our lives on the streets and how we can truly minister to our friends. And so we begin with morning prayer, and sometimes there's a hymn that you sing at the start of it. We're not always really great at singing that hymn.
In key.
It could be
6:30's tough.
6:30's a little tough. Steph could sing "Morning Is Broken" for us. That's one of our favorite hymns we got. But then after morning prayer, we go straight into praying our holy hour, and you can either sit in the chapel, you can go out in the hallway, but it's just ultimately to begin the day with the Lord and be filled with Him.
I think my favorite thing about morning prayer is how intentional we are about praying for our friends or people back home during the intentions. It's just really special how much we pray for those that we love, our friends in the streets, our family, whatever is going on that week. And yeah, it's just really special to lift up our prayers as a community together that way.
Yeah. How important is that to like set up your day? Like just to start off early. I know I'm not a morning person, so that would be really tough. And so, yeah, how important is that for you guys individually, but like for the program?
I think it is essential to be rooted in prayer and everything to flow from that. You know, we love because He first loved us, and just starting each day receiving that love so that we can then go out and love our community or our friends on the streets, whatever it may be. It is very essential, and it's really nice. When I was in college, it was hard to always have a consistent prayer life, I would say, but here it's just really beautiful as a community having that together, the consistency of that.
Yeah, and it's already built into your day.
And let's be honest, after that, there's so much that can change in the schedule.
Oh, yeah.
But you have that prayer, right? You have that anchor to start your day.
Yeah, every day looks a little different, but that prayer is always there at the beginning, which is awesome. So then next, y'all have breakfast, right?
Oh, yeah.
So breakfast I hear there can be some very interesting breakfasts that have come out of this place. Is that
Bison.
Really?
That was like the best breakfast or the funniest to me was when we had bison meat for breakfast. Yeah.
How did they make like bison bacon, or what is that even, bacon?
I don't know,
Was
honestly.
it bison sausage almost?
Yeah, I think so.
Just
Yeah.
ground
It actually
up.
tasted really good, but it
We
was
kind of
just
put
silly.
all the meats together and had like a mystery meat. So
And you guys have like cook teams, right?
yeah, so we all cook with every single person in the house at different times throughout the year, but we're split into about 3 people that cook each meal. And so usually we're jamming out in the morning, having a great time while cooking some random food that we have left over because we don't have a lot of like the core breakfast essentials. So we get really creative with our breakfast usually.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so most of the food that we do eat might be past its best by sell date. And so we can look and learn how to see if food really is out of date or not. We do the smell and taste test, but ultimately most of it is still really, really good. And we don't have too many horror stories. So yeah, it's pretty interesting sometimes when you're like, oh man, this says, last week was the best by sell date. Is it good still? Is it not? But most of the time, you just do the quick test and it's still really, really good. So,
And I think it's beautiful to be in solidarity with our friends as well in that way, to be receiving donations and in a sense giving up our preferences in what we're eating. So I think it's something we can unite with our friends on the streets as well.
That's really cool. I've learned a lot about food too, just from being on staff at Christ in the City, just learning that just because it's past its shelf life doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. And our country can waste a lot of food that isn't necessarily bad. That has maybe still a couple weeks of life to it. So
absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah. So every Monday we have food truck, which is basically a donation from a local church. That I think this is right.
Yeah. The food bank of the Rockies actually is where it originally comes from.
Yeah. And then we, sort it out on Monday and kind of plan out our meals actually going forward, which is really helpful as well.
Absolutely. We really don't go hungry whatsoever. because we get so much unique, creative food, staples. We can, supplement what we don't get, but it is truly remarkable.
Right.
And that what generosity we get to partake in that, like you guys said, to join in on a spirit of poverty.
Yeah. All right. So your belly is full. You just had breakfast. And now it's time to head to the streets. What are some things that you grab right before you head out of the house? And then what street route are y'all on?
So we are both on 20th Street, which
Let's
is the best
go.
route ever. There's 6 teams that hit the streets, and we all have just different routes throughout downtown Denver here. And teams vary on numbers, anywhere from 3 to 6 or 7, which is awesome because both men and women are on each street route. And so it's awesome to see the complementarity of when we walk with each other and seeing the differences of how our friends receive us in that aspect of being both men and women walking together. But yeah, before we head on the streets, we just make sure we have our street clothes and then grab our essentials that we'll take to maybe hand out, or take a blanket, a sleeping bag. If one of our friends kind of asked us the day before that they really needed one of those the night of. So we can just take kind of whatever out with us in that aspect.
I like to take my yo-yo out with me.
Nice.
And I've started to get a reputation on our route as the yo-yo girl. I've been called that a couple times
Wow.
now.
Yeah, she has.
Yeah, so it's actually really special, but I just keep that in my pocket of my jacket. And I also like to bring other fun things like cards, if we want to play cards with a friend, or like silly hands, sticky hands, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
fun things. And I have it's just specific memories with these toys almost on the streets.
What about
which
your
is really fun.
glasses?
Oh yeah, I also had these glasses with a mustache on them at one point.
Nice.
I've gone through a lot of fun things, but
How do the homeless react to that?
they usually like it, honestly.
Yeah.
I have so many funny stories. Or like this one time I was carrying a stick with me, and it was not a walking stick. It was literally like a whole tree branch with so many things on it. And just everyone was laughing at it as I walked by, and they were like, it's like you're carrying a whole tree. And I just think it's almost a boundary breaker, when you start talking to someone and you're wearing something funny, or you have a yo-yo, people are like, I haven't seen that in so long. And yeah, it's just a icebreaker in a way, but
What a fun way to engage a new person, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I have a yo-yo. When was the last time you kind of having fun with that? And just the little things in life bring back so much like joy or memories, or even that chance to be childlike in a good way again.
Mm-hmm, totally.
Yeah. Even approaching someone in the first place can be intimidating at times. Like, is that something that comes naturally to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we both, I think, are pretty natural at just kind of going up and talking to people on the streets, and we enjoy just having great conversations with anyone, and we have a wide variety of things we enjoy talking about. So our conversations can go anywhere from conspiracy theories to sports to politics to philosophy to just any different random topic that a lot of our friends are also interested in.
I don't think it always was that way for me, though. Actually, at the beginning, I did a summer of service before I did a year, and I remember that summer was very challenging for me. I had never talked to anyone on the streets before, and yeah, there's just a lot of nerves surrounding it.
Yeah.
I did like random people, I would say, at my college, but it's very different, obviously. So yeah, I think all of summer I really struggled with it and challenged myself a lot in that way. But I would say now it becomes a lot more naturally, if not only with people on the streets, but just everyone.
It came through practice,
Yeah,
right?
totally,
Practice
right.
and repetition. It makes sense, right? Even for our year-long missionaries, when you start, it is not always the most comfortable thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember a saying people would tell me over the summer was embrace the awkward. It was something
Yes.
so small, but I still think that often, it's just embrace the awkward, and it's very human. It's very natural, and it's something that you just need to learn to embrace and push through. And yeah, it still happens all the time, but I kind of like it maybe.
Yeah. It's very human, right? Yeah. Do you guys have any pre-ministry rituals that you always try and do right before you go out onto the streets?
Yeah, we always pray. We start our walk in prayer, and then at the end, something that I love our team does is a thumb check. It's pretty simple. We either give a thumbs up, middle, or down, just to have an idea of how we're all doing, and we can be there for each other in a more intentional way.
That is such a good idea.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then you don't even have to say anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's such a good idea. How have you seen that benefit your street ministry? Just those around you and entering a hard situation, knowing how you're doing.
Oh, it's so helpful because ultimately you're seeing where each other is at, and you can ultimately see what their needs are for that day. And so if I'm not doing well, even if it's hard to tell another person that, it's so much more helpful to see, okay, you're not doing well. I can be there for you in this way. Or, okay, this could be a tough encounter. Maybe we shouldn't enter into that because of where you are at right now. Mm-hmm. And it's just helpful to help each other and each other's needs.
Yeah.
I think a specific way I've seen it help as well. We have 6 people on our team, which is 3 men and 3 women. And on days that either more team members are struggling, we don't split into pairs, 1 man, 1 woman, but we'll do 3 and 3 instead to just almost give more of a buffer room of encountering people. And it takes the pressure off of just 2 people.
That's awesome. It seems like you guys know your team and your route fairly well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. As the year goes on, I'm sure you have so many stories, so many people that you've met. Yeah. What are some highs? What are some lows of street ministry? I'm sure not every day is a walk in the park, a walk on the street that's just amazing. But if there's any stories that you would want to share, or maybe just like experiences that you would like to share with our listeners.
Yeah, so a story that is very recent since after winter break is with our friend Robert. We met him the day that we got back from winter break, and he was very hopeless when we first met him and really struggling with having hope and thinking that he was going to die on the streets this winter actually. It was very hard to enter into, and we were just there with him, and we asked him if he had been to the Coalition for the Homeless, which is on our street route, which is very convenient. And he said no. So we walked with him, and within 3 days, we waited in line with him to get into the Coalition. He got housing applications, came to lunch in the park. And within 3 days, just a very quick friendship formed. But honestly, he was very reserved in the beginning and would not really talk too much about his personal life, would only talk about housing or things like that. And over the course of a month, he completely opened up with us and is still doing so. I saw him today. I love him. And just has shared more about his family. Yeah, stories about hot chocolate and how long he's loved it. And like cars that he's driven, just like and dreams. Like one of the most special times is when he was talking about dreams he's had since he was 14 years old. Just like very different. He's completely regained hope and come back to life in that way. But along with it, I have seen God so radically answer his hope and provide for him in housing actually within 4 weeks. It actually is incredible, and I still have such a deep gratitude and joy. It's actually, I can't even put words to it, because it was about 2 weeks ago that we saw him, and he was so excited to show us a paper that said he got housing, and he still comes around lunch in the park, and we saw him today at another lunch line. But it just has been so incredible, twofold, seeing him open up, but then also God provide for him.
Yeah, that's an amazingly quick turnaround.
I know, it was literally a miracle, I felt.
Wow.
Witnessing that.
What a cool thing to witness that. That's awesome.
And I think for me, one of our favorite friends to go visit is Mama Jerry. And
Mama Jerry, we love her.
Mama Jerry has been a friend of Christ in the city for a long time, probably about 10 years.
Yeah, a long
shout out
time.
to our alumni.
Yeah,
shout out to the
and
alumni there.
They know and love Mama Jerry.
But something that has impacted me a lot recently is her willingness to share how she struggles with loving herself. And I think it has helped me see where I struggle to love myself as well. And so it was cool. Her and I had a conversation recently about helping each other learn how to love ourselves.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But this woman also is blind and deaf. And so you kind of have to yell in her ear when you're trying to tell her you love her and that she is very lovable as a person.
Yeah.
So it's so cool to see how like vulnerable she really is with us, not just like emotionally, but also like physically, because she can't hear, she can't see, she's in a wheelchair, has a lot of health medical problems, and she just radically trusts us in so many great ways to help her help her get her needs met.
Yeah, she really turns to the missionaries and has for the past few years to even some of the simple things in life, right? That with, you know, her going blind and her hearing is very quickly deteriorating. It's like the trust she needs in others. And I can't imagine, Chaz, your team right now, she's going through that, like continuing to love her.
Yeah.
And the transformations that's having on her own heart if she's struggling, thinking she's worthy.
Yeah. And I think something that I've really recognized in myself is when we leave her apartment, she's usually there by herself, and she can't really hear, can't see. And so I just imagine, like, for being in your little chair for over 3 hours, not being able to talk to anyone, can't hear anything, can't see anything, the loneliness that she experiences. And we talk about loneliness a lot with our ministry on the streets. And even by having housing doesn't mean you'll stop being lonely.
Yeah. I'm sure that's pretty difficult to experience, the deep loneliness of the homeless. I mean, Mama Jerry's not homeless anymore, but yeah, just even experiencing that. How do you support each other on your team in facing like the struggles of the streets?
Yeah, it definitely is a struggle, and it hurts a lot, especially when our friends get housing and you realize that's not the deepest poverty. You know, the deepest poverty is the loneliness, and whether you are now in a motel or in an apartment or on the streets or in this community, we can all struggle with the poverty of loneliness. And I think with our street team, some way that I see it is just in our debriefs every day, being very intentional with sharing how we are feeling and being there for one another, receiving one another in that. And also the formators here are really amazing in that way as well. We have a street team formator that comes to our debriefs, and Kendra, we just love her a lot, and she as well can really just be with us in that. I think it's so good that we do go to Mass typically right after the streets. That's usually the first place that I just leave it at the feet of Jesus for Mass. Yeah. And coming back to the house then after, I find it to be very helpful to allow almost buffer time between when we debrief to just process it more, to think it through, whether that is in community, or most of the time for me, it can be very interior, maybe just like internal processing. And then we have a time to then later talk about it. Just having that time in between, I think, is really good.
I think it's very life-giving, but also exhausting because of how the encounters usually go with our friends on the street. Sometimes they can be really, really tough. And the first thing I'm thinking about is I need to go on a run as soon as I get back to the house to just clear my mind, think about different things, and to maybe address whatever I experienced later on in the day.
Yeah.
Or go work out, maybe go talk to some friends, have some coffee. Like I had to be aware of that real quick, that I needed just go get what my needs are.
But you got to learn how to truly take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Street ministry time, you know, hitting the streets, talking to our homeless friends, meeting new homeless friends, and then Mass, and then what do we got next?
Lunch. Is that what you're
Lunch, internships.
So what's the rest of the afternoon look like then?
Yeah, every day is different. We have a training that is different each week. We've done some trainings on nonviolent communication, on discernment, on the Holy Spirit, and study time for our class, which is a part of our intellectual formation. Internships on Mondays and Thursdays, and Fridays are my favorite day of the week, probably because we have adoration and Mass in the afternoon in the house, which is very nice.
Yeah, you just listed off a lot of different things, right? People are probably like, wait, there's internships here? What does that look
what
like?
just happened?
Yeah. So for internships, what internships are both of you on?
I have like the worst person that's in charge of my internship. It's Shayla.
Oh,
and she tries to tell me what I'm supposed to do. Actually, it's really cool. We work on a lot of different ways to reach people in the parishes, in the schools, in the community, and truly looking at our outreach and how we can better help the community to truly enter and to see our mission.
Yeah, Chaz is on my team of 5 rock star missionaries, and we're the ones that get to like set up the presentations, the community engagements, going to schools, parishes. So Chaz,
Big team.
He's on the team. He's a key player.
Stephanie, how about you?
I'm on the applications and hospitality internship, which is for missionaries that work a lot with applicants. So I personally call a lot of applicants and talk them through the application process. And hospitality side of it is typically guests. So we work on the guest rooms, inviting people into the mission. Again, applicants, when they come to visit, it entails a lot, but I love it a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, you see right there in your day, it's like the mission of Christ in the City is definitely service to the poor. That's part of the mission statement, but also, the formation of the greater community, through Chaz's team and Stephanie's team. And we also have missionaries on all sorts of other internships, everything from our mission trips to our development to our weekly Costco order to truly all across the board to our accounting interns, the ones that you have to be really qualified to do that one.
Yeah, it's a well-oiled machine.
Well-oiled machine. So many variations in what you can do during your internship. So we have that 6:30 wake up and morning prayer, breakfast, homeless outreach, mass, all sorts of opportunities for ongoing formation and community outreach in the afternoon, and then debriefs in the afternoon after you've had a little time to rest and think about it and come together as a team. Do you guys have any time to do anything each day?
We have about an hour to an hour and a half in the afternoon between whatever we have for that afternoon to dinner. So something that I told you guys earlier, I like to run and work out because that is what I need every single day. Or to maybe go rollerblading, just have a blast with and spend intentional time with different members of our community. So,
Steph, how about you?
Do you nap? I would nap.
Actually, Christ in the City has gotten me into napping. So I used to
very
never
real.
nap.
You're not the only one.
But yeah, otherwise reading is really nice to just spend time alone. I think I find, rest for me is time alone sometimes. And I need that. Getting coffee, going to Chick-fil-A. It's different every day. I can't really answer.
Yeah, no, it's cool to see how like the different missionaries also need to use their free time. Some of them are like, I want to like use this time to exercise, to maybe be with other people, to be more active. And others like, I need absolute alone time right now. And I need to just decompress for a little bit.
Learning what you need, right? How to take care of yourself. Proper rest, so important for you to keep going. Cause as you said, like that's a lot of active listening on the streets. That's a lot of active listening and hearing and seeing hard things and great things,
Yeah.
You guys are both, one's from the Midwest, one's from the East Coast, just all over the country. And we even have some missionaries from all over the world. How does such a mix of cultures and different places and different ways you grew up, how does that come together in the community?
I think it's beautiful, and I often reflect on just the body of Christ and how we are all different parts of one body. And even just in our backgrounds with where we came from. Some people are right out of high school, a lot are out of college, some are in the middle of college, some left jobs or seminary. I think, it just shows a great beauty that God calls each of us in very unique ways. And I think we each brings very unique gifts to Christ in the City and this community. And just in fun ways too, of like Louisiana, people got me into eating beans and rice and sausage and all this
all
stuff.
the time.
And learning to cook new foods. And I don't know.
Yeah, we all have our own little quirks. Like people from North Dakota like to say bags.
Oh,
instead of
whatever.
bags.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, if any
People
of
from
our
Nebraska
listeners-
love our runzas.
We do. We love our runzas.
But ultimately, though, we all came for the same reason, that the Lord brought us here to be united together and to grow and love each other in community. And I think the different quirks actually really complement each other in a unique way that brings out a new side to each and every one of us. Yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
allows us to be ourselves.
Allows you to be free.
Yeah.
Yeah. After dinner, different nights of the week look different. So, Chaz, will you tell us a little bit about kind of community night and what that looks like?
Yeah, so community night is just a time for all of us to get together to partake in a different activity every single week. And so sometimes we might do a Bob Ross painting night.
Oh, nice.
And we'll drink Kool-Aid, watch the video, and watch him do an incredible job while some of us are still, drawing the lines. And
Yeah,
you got some that are just doing incredible at it.
All variations of levels there.
You really see who the artistic ones are
Yes.
in the group when we do a Bob Ross painting night. But then we might do watch a movie. Maybe have after a long weekend, we might just do a chill hang out with each other, or we might spread into different groups and go have ice cream.
Nice.
So we go,
Yeah, it's really nice.
How have you seen your relationships with your marrying groups and your street teams and the community change from day one to now?
I mean, I think for me, it has changed a lot just because you get to know people in the littlest things that they do and their little quirks, but then you also see how huge their hearts are. And so on our street route, the way that you see each member on the street or each member on the team love our friends on the street has really made me see in a deeper way my own love for our friends on the streets. And also with marrying group, you get to see what sometimes people are talking about their struggles and what's really going on and what's been really tough. Maybe if a family situation back home, or with a tough day on the streets, or maybe just discernment. And it's kind of cool that you get to really be intentional and walk with those guys. Well, at least for me, get to walk with the guys and help them along with whatever they truly need in that. So
In those privileged spaces of life, it sounds like you're saying.
yeah, absolutely. It's a very privileged because it's definitely they're sharing what their heart is truly revealing to them, and it's very beautiful to actually enter into that with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much intentionality,
Oh yeah.
Totally.
right? In the schedule and everything you guys just said, inside and outside, so much intentionality.
And then Chaz, how do we normally wrap up every day?
We usually end the day at 9:00 at night with night prayer. And so night prayer is another one of the liturgy of the hours, kind of like morning prayer, but the focus is actually on death, to be honest.
Resurrection in the morning, death at night. Chaz, that
at
makes
night.
sense. The church makes sense.
The church makes sense. The prayer after night prayer is actually, may the all-powerful Lord grant us a restful night and a peaceful death. And so to understand that, what if today is my last day, I'm happy with what I actually did today, but ultimately it's for the Lord.
Yeah.
And I know the Lord was happy with the way I lived out my life for the day. And if I don't see the people in the morning, God willing, I hope I'm in heaven, but it's to entrust myself over to the Lord in a way that helps me surrender the rest of my evening, but my whole entire day.
Yeah, no matter what happened that day, right?
Yeah.
We also, before we do night prayer, just end with a Thanksgiving rosary,
Yeah.
which I have never heard of before I came to Christ in the
I
City.
think Christ in the City may have made it up. I can't confirm that, but I think it's a CIC.
Sounds
awesome.
like a CIC thing.
Yeah, it's basically for every bead of the rosary where we would say Hail Mary, we just thank God for something of that day.
Yeah.
Do you have days you struggle thinking of things to be thankful for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for suffering.
I think certain days it can be really tough to actually think about what you are truly thankful for, what the Lord did in our lives for the day. And I think that's actually a good thing to wrestle with, because I think sometimes it's so easy to put that front forward that, oh my gosh, my life is so joyful. Everything, I'm so thankful for every little thing. And
Yeah.
it gives you a good time to actually examine your day and really think about, wait, what am I thankful for? Wait, I wasn't thankful for anything today.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful to hear what other people are thankful for too, and almost uniting what you're thankful for with what they are. I find that on days that I'm struggling to be very beautiful.
Yeah.
What an answer.
How are you guys just not absolutely exhausted at the end of every day?
Or-
how do you keep
I
going?
am.
What keeps you going? Yeah.
I am exhausted after every day. I don't know what you're talking about.
How do you keep from getting burnt out? I mean, we just literally went through such an in-depth schedule of your guys' life, and how do you do it?
Grace.
Yeah.
Not Grace Denning, the other missionary.
Not
but
the
I mean,
missionary, the grace from the Lord.
the grace from the Lord. But honestly, it's taking care of yourself and actually relying on the grace that God gives us, because without him, we are nothing, and we can do nothing without him. And so just taking away any expectations and allowing the Lord to do his will is ultimately what's fulfilling. So
Yeah, not much room for comfort in that
Nope.
right there, Chas. Not much room for comfort.
An image that I usually picture in times that I'm feeling very, maybe tired or just like I'm pouring myself out a lot is just like a rag that's being like wringed out. Do you know what if you can picture that?
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel at the end of a lot of days. But I think it's really beautiful to like let Jesus in a sense like revive you and refill you for each day. And that's what I want to feel like. I want to feel like I'm being completely poured out, for the sake of his people and this community.
Going to bed exhausted knowing you gave everything you could that day.
Totally.
Oh,
yeah.
Amazing, guys.
I love that visual, Stephanie. That's so good.
Thank you guys so much. You're amazing, and it's very awesome to see the way that you have given your life to Christ through Christ in the city and through being here with us. So thank you
so much for letting us into the privileged space of your daily schedule, as well as some of your reflections on the streets, on community life, on being here. That's no small thing, and I truly am grateful you guys were willing to open up about that and just be honest, right? This program seems to bring out honesty real quick in you guys, and it shows that so well.
This life is hard, but it is so beautiful, and it really does feel like a dream every day.
Yeah.
I'm being serious.
Wow.
It does.
Well, if that doesn't make any of our listeners want to be a missionary, I don't know what will. And
right?
And if you do, then you might just get to talk to Stephanie in the application process.
Let's go.
let's go.
Yeah, if you are interested in living this missionary life, if you are interested in getting a peek into this intentional lifestyle of being a missionary to the homeless, as well as just living in community, you can apply to Christ in the City and become a part of this program in a few ways. One is our summer service program, where we will go for 3 weeks all over the country to different locations and serve the poor. And also applications are open for our year of service, where you can do what Chaz and Stephanie are doing daily. Feel free to apply on our website, www.christinthecity.org. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. And if you know anyone who's considering it, just encourage them. The application process is so wonderful as we help guide people to see what the Lord has next for their life.
Amazing. Well, thank you to all of our listeners today for following along with this day in the life of our missionaries. It's a crazy one, but it's an amazing one. And so, we are excited to be with you in a couple weeks from now. God bless.